Whoa.
Just a reminder about our new giveaway. We're giving away the new iPad Pro or the new iMac Pro. The choice is yours. All you have to do is watch the full video, leave a like, comment the keyword hidden in the video, and make sure you're subscribed. It's that simple.
When it comes to sports draft, if you're the #1 pick, you're the player that everyone thinks is going to be the next big thing. But many times, that's not what happens. Sometimes they'll have a decent career and sometimes they'll just go bust. But if you're able to find that true next big thing player, you're going to have success in the short term or the long term, or in some player cases, they'll get so good they'll go to a team where they can get success. So allow us to show you the top 10 #1 draft picks in the NBA's history. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 10, Patrick Ewing. We start off our list with a big man who made an immediate splash when he got into the league, Patrick Ewing. After getting picked up by the New York Knicks in a potentially rigged NBA draft, the team knew that this could be the man who would lead them to the promised land. Guess what? He basically did. Known for his massive size and defensive presence, Patrick Ewing was a guy who could defend you, block you, dunk over you, and yeah, knock you to the ground in the days where the NBA wasn't, well, so foul happy. He played for 17 years, which is not easy for big men, but he did it, and he led the Knicks to the NBA Finals twice, but sadly, didn't get the title. But if you want to know how truly great he was, when he left, the Knicks never recovered. Number 9, Allen Iverson. Yep, time for the truth. And the truth is that no matter what you think of Allen Iverson and his lack of efficiency and no NBA titles, he came to play every night. In fact, he would average about 42 minutes per game, and he had 4 scoring titles and some of the sweetest shots you'll ever see. Plus, he wasn't that big of a player, he was only 165 pounds, yet he rocked the court a lot and led the 76ers to their first NBA Finals in a long time. Yeah, they lost, but hey, he was still good. He's Hall of Fame, and though things don't always go his way, he did earn his spot here. Number 8, Yao Ming. We're kinda cheating, let's be honest with ourselves. Yao Ming would have had an even more impressive career if not for injuries. He made the Rockets relevant again, and proved time and time again that you cannot count this man out. He beat up Shaq when they squared off, would do consistently well in scoring, and more. The only downside to him was injuries, but he did enough to get a Hall of Fame credential, and everyone knows the name Yao Ming. Number 7, Elgin Baylor. You're going to see a lot of Lakers on this list, but we're starting with the first true classic, Elgin Baylor. He was drafted by the Minneapolis Lakers, who went to LA in 1960. Elgin was so good that he led the Lakers to the finals 8 times. 8! Sadly, he could never win one for his team, but still, he was a scoring legend, and he made 61 points in the NBA Finals one time, which is a record. Number 6, HAKEEM OLAJUWON. We're going for back-to-back big men here, and we're starting with a true all-time great, HAKEEM OLAJUWON. He was taken above a certain 23, and for good reason. He was a dominant big man, and when the Rockets got him, they knew they could win titles with him. He was big on defense, but could score like crazy. Sure enough, he was able to go and fulfill the Rockets' desires, winning back-to-back titles in 94 and 95. Conveniently, the years that 23 wasn't there, hey, we're just saying. But even with that caveat, HAKEEM was a boss, and in those title wins, he was the finals MVP. Number 5, Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq. The greatest of the universe. Okay, not really, but when it comes to Shaq, his arrival as the #1 pick in the 92 draft was a bit of a shock in regards to not his talent, but to who drafted him. He was drafted by the Orlando Magic, who were literally just born and had gotten players from other teams to supplement who they were going to be. Getting the #1 pick should not have happened for them, and yet it did, and the payoff was immediate. Or at least it was once Penny Hardaway got drafted with another #1 pick in the 93 draft. With Shaq on the inside and Penny on the outside, these two led the Magic to the NBA Finals. They didn't win, but they got there. Shaq was dominant with them, but then he went to the Lakers and got even more dominant. Seriously, Shaq was MVP, Finals MVP, and with the help of Kobe, led the Lakers to 3 titles in 4 years, then went to Miami and got Dwayne Wade his first title. You don't just do that, but Shaq did. Shaq is arguably the greatest big man ever, and that is a high bar, but Shaq earned it, and even though the Magic didn't reap the awards of Shaq's abilities, he did help put them on the map. Number 4, LeBron James. Yeah, we would be foolish to not mention LeBron on this list, don't you think? LeBron came in at number 1 in the 2003 draft, and his impact was immediate, because not unlike the GOAT, MJ, he was brought to a team that desperately needed him, and he gave them the credibility that they needed, taking them to the finals in his first run. But then he left for South Beach, won 2 titles with them, came back to Cleveland and got them a title too. Then he left for the Lakers and is now in the Eastern Conference Finals. His traveling ways aside, LeBron is a boss on the court, and many consider him one of, if not the, greatest player of all time. So yeah, draft pick well spent. Number 3, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. In the 1980s, the Lakers won 5 titles. Most people credit that to a certain Magic player, but don't forget he had a big helping hand from the one and only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But he wasn't drafted by the Lakers, he was drafted by the Bucks, and he helped them get their first NBA title ever in 1971, and took them back to the finals in 1974. And they haven't been back since. Kareem was, pardon the pun, magic on the court. His skyhook is legendary to this day, and his length and skill made him near impossible to block when he went to shoot. Unlike his Hall of Fame teammate, Kareem ended up with 6 rings, and his contributions to the game on and off the court are not to be ignored. Number 2, Tim Duncan. When you think about the Spurs and their various title runs, 2 men more than likely come to mind. The first is coach Greg Popovich, who is the mad genius behind making his teams win. The second, well, that would be Tim Duncan, because without him, none of what they did would be possible. Tim Duncan is more than just a Spurs legend, he's an NBA legend. This guy has 5 NBA titles, multiple MVP awards, an on-court presence that could not be ignored. He was someone you feared every time you played against him. And yeah, there's little doubt he had great team players like the Admiral and Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, but they were pieces to help make Tim Duncan even more unstoppable. And as if to prove his excellence, in 2 of his final 4 years in the NBA, he went to the NBA Finals and battled the Miami Heat, where they were loaded with talent, including LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. He took them to the limit twice and beat them twice, and if it wasn't for a clutch Ray Allen shot, it would have been 6 titles under his belt. Tim Duncan was in the class of 2020 for the Hall of Fame, so I hope you can see why he's so high on this list. Number 1, Magic Johnson. You know you're going to be number 1 if your name is Magic. We kid. Magic earned his number 1 spot another way by being one of the best players in the history of the NBA. In many ways, Magic Johnson, alongside Larry Bird, was the reason the NBA took off in the 1980s. The Lakers-Celtics feud is legendary, but it was Magic's style of play that really impressed people. He wasn't just a shooter, he was a passer, and a darn good one. No, really, look at footage of his passes and you'll see just how mighty he was in getting the ball to people he knew could make key baskets. But when he needed to shoot the ball, he would, and he would make a lot more than he would miss. If you're curious about how good he was right out the gate, he won the NBA title and won Finals MVP in his rookie year. That is not supposed to happen, but it happened for Magic. Magic would make 9 trips to the NBA Finals. 9! That is incredible, and sure, he lost 4, including 1 to Michael Jordan, who, if you forgot, was the number 3 pick in the draft he came in, not number 1, but winning 5, that puts him as an elite, and despite what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaq, and Kobe have all done, many agree that Magic Johnson is the greatest Laker of all time. So, what did you think? What did you think of this look at some of the best number 1 picks in the history of the NBA? Do you agree with some of these rankings? Are you surprised by who made some of the biggest impacts in the NBA after being drafted number 1? What players were you surprised weren't on this list for one reason or another? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.